The intervention processes that we're going to consider are negotiation, mediation, arbitration, facilitation, conferencing, conflict coaching. The first and probably the most straightforward process, in that it's built into almost every communication that we do, is negotiation. Successful negotiation includes tangible aspects, what the actual outcome or results might be, but also intangible aspects. How we conduct ourselves in a way that builds trust, good faith, and relationships through that communication process. Being the cheapest and the most in control for the parties, this should always be the first option. Of course, it isn't always possible. Think of Passadora, Joanna Harding and Phil Briggs. Could they sit down and have a conversation? No, they probably couldn't. There was a significant power imbalance and a physical distance. There was also no good faith between the parties to have that engagement, so negotiation wasn't possible. The second process is mediation. This is often the next step if a direct negotiation between the parties fails or isn't appropriate in the first place. The role of the mediator is to act as a third party to essentially curate the interaction and create a safe environment where interest can be surfaced and explored. The mediator in general doesn't provide advice in regard to the outcome and doesn't play a determinative role in any solution. What this means is that while mediation may be undertaken voluntarily by a court order or built into a contractual arrangement, the outcome or the lack of an outcome is always decided by the participants and not the mediator. So, you can be ordered to attempt mediation, but there's no circumstance in mediation where you can be compelled to reach a mediated agreement. There's always that next level of escalation. Arbitration can happen outside the courts. It can help parties obtain a decision that is legally binding. In arbitration, an arbiter is appointed who acts as a judge in the dispute, so unlike mediation, an arbitrator has a legal or professional expertise that they bring to bear in the process and make decisions. For example, the Queensland Civil Administrative Tribunal will hear matters about professional misconduct in various registered professions. Those matters will be heard with the tribunal consisting of a legal member and a member of that profession. Arbitration is commonly used for larger commercial disputes, building, construction contracts, and for employment matters such as the Industrial Relations Commission. The next process we're going to consider is facilitation. Like a mediator, a facilitator doesn't generally give opinions but works skillfully to draw out opinions and the ideas of the group members. For example, in Passadora, it may be that a facilitator is engaged by the Community Action Group to run some community consultation sessions aimed at raising awareness and planning actions amongst the Passadora residents. A key part of facilitation is focusing on how people participate in the process of learning and planning, not just on what gets achieved. Likely you'll have participated in a facilitation if you're in a large workplace during planning days or strategy days, when an external person comes in and leads this process of idea generation. Like mediation and facilitation, the conflict coach generally doesn't provide advice or opinions but curates a conversation in a way that assists the client to achieve some goals. They as well as help the client gain clarity about the conflict situation, understand their own and the other person's needs and goals. Additionally, help identifying and evaluating their choices for moving forward in the conflict, developing confidence about managing conflict and achieving their goals, or increasing their conflict management skills so they can then constructively engage. However, it's a one-to-one intervention, unlike mediation where two parties are involved. The final process is conferencing, which is ideally suited as a process to deal with conflict that is directly affecting a small group of people or multiple parties, not just two parties. It's got some good applications in youth justice, education, and personal relations to deal with conflict in neighborhoods, families, schools, and workplaces. There are many different practices, models, and iterations of this idea of conferencing, but some key features are that there's a third-party convener. That this convener brings together people literally in a circle configuration, that the people in the circle are those who are affected by the conflicts and have some stake in the restoration of harmony. that the convener curates the group's conversation, which moves through this series of structured stages of the conference. The last of which involves developing an action plan or restoration plan to improve their situation.